Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you are listening, we are here with Kari Oostveen. Ooh, same last name. We're related. Are we related? I don't know. You're going to find out. Woo, secret. I'm here with my good friend Kari and small business owner Kari Oostveen, and I cannot wait to interview her today for our Life Redesign podcast. I'm super excited for her to share her story with you and to talk about really, like, seriously, all of the cool things that she does. So if you live in Grand Rapids, by the end of this podcast, you should be booking an appointment for all of the things woman and awesomeness related with Kari. So let's get started. Hi, Kari. Welcome, my dearest.
Hi, Amy. Thank you, my dearest.
Hi. So Kari and I have been friends for 18,000 million years. We can't even count because it's so many. And we have the same last name because I introduced her to my brother. They were married for a little while. I'll let you share your story, but they are no longer married right now. So if you're wondering why we have the same last name, there it is. The secret is out. So before we get going with some stuff that we want to talk about, can you give us just a little bit of a story about you? Tell us a little bit about you. Share with us a little bit of your story, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me. I know that it's one of those things where, like, I've known you forever, but all of a sudden I got sweaty.
Nobody can feel our sweat, so if we're sweating, it's fine. It's fine.
And dry mouth. Okay. So Amy and I actually met in Minnesota, where I am from. So I'm born and raised in Minnesota. I moved to Michigan for the job that her and I were working with in 2004. I was supposed to stay for 6 months, and it's now 2022. Can you believe that? I know. So today I am 40, been divorced for 6 years. We have an 11-year-old daughter, and I just recently made the leap to run my own business full time. So I can kind of give a timeline and explain how I got to where I'm at, just real quick, and then I'm sure we'll dive deeper into some things. But so I guess after high school, there was a total of 7 of us girls, and we were really close knit. We were very, very close. We did everything together. And actually to this day, we're still very close. All of us we went to Florida in October and celebrated becoming 40. We all turned 40 within the year. So that was fun. But this, I think about this often, is when we all graduated high school, there was a running joke, and it kind of bothered me in the moment. And because I still think about it often, but I don't know. I think that I didn't let them see that it bothered me, but they all had a plan. They were going to universities. They knew what they wanted to do. And then I went to community college, lived at home, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the joke is the one in the group that's going to be working on the corner is going to be Kari, because we don't know.
I didn't know that.
You know what, I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't know if I ever told her that.
I didn't know that.
So I've never worked on the corner. Let me just have that disclaimer.
It's fine.
Yeah. But I mean, I look back at, I guess I'm just so different than, they are all still working, which is great. They're corporate America. They're doing what they went to school for.
Yeah.
My dad is retired from UPS. It was his first job. My mom, she just texted me and my sister probably a week or so ago that she's celebrating 43 years at her job. She will retire from, yeah. So
how do you think you wanted to be an entrepreneur though? Do you think it was like, do you feel like the thing that the girl said was like a driving force for you to be different than them? Or do you feel like it was like always
I think that they knew I was
an entrepreneur land, you know what I mean? But
you and I met not long after. We had met in, gosh, it was probably 2002. And that's when I was just finishing up community college. I went for 2 years. And yeah, I've always wanted to do something bigger and better and not work for somebody else, but I literally never ever knew how. I never knew how.
Yeah.
During college, community college, and for many years, I did sales. I was in and out of the restaurant industry, sales, in and out of the restaurant industry. I went into beauty when I moved here. Your brother actually drove me to, because he wanted me to get out. I know he wanted me to get out of waitressing. So my grandma offered to pay for schooling. And so then your brother was like, get in the car. We're going to go, apply for the esthetician program at cosmetology school. So in 2006, I got licensed to be an esthetician. So I have been doing this. Gosh, I keep saying 16 years. Is that what that ends up being? What's the math? 2006.
Let's roll with that. That sounds good.
Actually, I think that's right. Yeah. 16 years. Oh,
yes. I did not realize it was that long. That's a long time.
I know. That's been the one consistent thing in my life. So I was at a couple spas and salons. I managed a beauty supply store for 4 years. And I remember when I was at the beauty supply store, your brother and I went and we bought a massage table off of Craigslist. Who goes on Craigslist? Yeah, see? Oh my gosh. Back in my day. Yeah. And it was $150. And that was like so much money to me. Best investment ever, still have it. So at that time, because I loved, and I was just purely waxing. Like I loved waxing. So I was like, I want to do this out of the house just every so often, offer eyebrow waxes to, friends and family. And it was literally, $5 an eyebrow wax. And to me, $25 extra here and there in my pocket, like made a big difference. And that was awesome. So I did that till probably, just very sporadic until 2014. I wasn't very active in growing that. I'd take referrals here and there. 2016, I started to try a little harder because now I'm divorced and it's just me. 2019, so about 3 years ago, I ended up getting a financial advisor and we sat down and she said, let me see your prices. And I showed her my prices and she's like, you need to raise these. And I go, I know, I don't want to, but I know. And she said, how much are you making like on the side extra a month? And at the time I was working full-time, had my daughter part-time, trying to have a life, but that doesn't really happen. And so I was making, I said to her, like probably $500 a month. She said, well, next month I want you to double that. And I was like, okay, like, how am I going to do that? So she challenged me. And that next month, I remember I made $997. And I was like, dude, I think I called you.
Yeah. Like, that's so awesome. I love that.
Yep. And then it was like, well, if I can do that, I can probably do 1,200 or, you know what I mean? So, so really, and right before COVID, up until now, I've just really just worked hard and put that salesy drive and energy into this because I was good at sales and you have to follow up and you have to keep it. But I really didn't do that with waxing. I wasn't like, okay, are you coming back for wax? Like for some reason, I just was like, they'll come if they come. But I started to do that. I started to get referrals. And I was let go from my full-time job about 1.5 years ago. And at that point I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I
Yeah.
don't want to work for somebody else.
That
How
was
do
your
I make-
point of like making the decision. That I remember that, because that was the point where like, you know what? I'm not going back there. I'm going this way and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it 100%. And now it's like, then you're forced to make it work because you have to. I mean, being a single mom, when you make that decision, you don't have, the option to like have it go okay is not there, because it has
Right.
to go well. It has to work, because that's going to be your income.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I knew I was going to get unemployment, but I didn't get it for 7 months. And I got that check and I thought, you know what, I could live on this or whatever, but I was like, I'm going to pay some things off. And then I had already committed to that Florida trip with my friends. I can't be the only one that's turning 40 that's not going. Then I committed to a trip to Mexico, and then December was Christmas. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for all this. So I ended up sucking it up and getting a part-time job in sales 3 days a week. And I literally I couldn't do it. I couldn't, I love sales. But I love this more. And I love having I can't, I'm just the type of person that can't take on extra stress, or I can already be a little bit of a hot mess. I'm even more of a hot mess if there's so anyways, I quit that spur of the moment. It was an impulsive decision that I'm glad that I did. And I will never, mark my words, never go back.
Yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead.
so last month, so I quit the end of April. The month of May was my best month ever. I had 83 bodies through my door.
So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear a lot of, it's interesting because, you know, as I've been interviewing for this podcast, there's one common theme that continues to come up, whether we're saying the actual word or not, but it's action. And I was just speaking with Heidi, who our last podcast was about, and we kind of talked a lot about choice and how there is no wrong choice, but it's that you make a choice and it will always bring you one step closer or in the direction of where you want to go. So what I love about your story is, while you maybe didn't know, is this for sure the end all be all, or is this or whatever, you always made a choice. Like you always took action, and you always just made a choice. Like, okay, I'm doing this. So you went and got a part-time job, and then that choice led you to for sure 100% know that that's not where you wanted to be. But all throughout your story, that's where you were. It was take action, make a choice, take action, make a choice, take action, make a choice, which then led you to have your record sales month. So I think a lot of times, like as women, when we think about, okay, I went through these things, or I'm going through these things, and we think about redesigning, sometimes we think it's like this one thing of just this one choice or this one action step. And again, like Heidi and I were just talking about, it's just constant. It's constantly evolving. You're constantly learning and growing and understanding and knowing to be able to get you to the place where you want to be right now. And that could be different in 6 months or a year and 2 years, and whatever that could look like.
Yeah.
So I love that. Like, I mean, obviously I'm a crazy doer by nature, and like you and I talk about that all the time. It's like, do, take action, take action, take action, take action.
Yep. So I do feel like I have grown a lot since my divorce. I remember when I got like at the end of our marriage and the divorce was final, I got a new job. I remember that tech company I was working for, and I was just starting, and I remember getting the health insurance, like all the benefits that you get. And I remember reading through, like they offered like counseling and stuff if you needed to ever talk to somebody. And there was a statistic in there that said, after a divorce, it can take an average of 4 years to kind of get back to normal. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. And 4 years. Yeah, right. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, so true. Gosh,
Because,
I knew that. I did not know that statistic.
oh, you didn't?
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So you might have a couple more years ahead of you, but you know what? It does. It's you have all these emotions and like I had said, I was like, I'm good, I'm fine, but really I wasn't. I was dating off and on. And then I ended up finding somebody that I was with seriously for, 2 years. And I thought that he was amazing. It ended up not being a healthy relationship. And I kind of sort of got lost in that because I want to say I was sort of like a chameleon with him. In the moment I thought I was happy, but he, I thought he was making me better, but my behavior changed and my opinions changed, like when I was around him or with him. And in those years, I mean, for example, like, oh, I like to dress fancy. I don't like to be, sloppy and casual. Well, it turns out I do like sweatpants and sweatshirts. So, it's just, I don't feel like I was, I don't feel like I was me in that relationship. So again, I'm still trying to like figure out who I am. And then, I just kind of always was working on myself, but, after the breakup with, the serious relationship that I was in for 2 years, I was like, ain't nobody going to do this but me. So I put my head down. Yeah. I put my head down. And I remember, instead of going to bars and going on dates and spending money, I did shift shopping and I donated plasma and I bought old furniture and refurbished it and sold it for money. I was selling things on eBay. And if I needed $20, I'd find $20,
Yeah. So true.
So
yeah, do you feel like your defining moment, or not that there has to be like one defining moment, but it would, because I think there's also some sort of, like when you get divorced, there's definitely like a long, lonely period. Because whether it's supposed to happen or not, you're figuring out like, okay, I used to be able to talk to this person about my day, and now there isn't a person about my day. So the 4 years is really starting to make sense. But from what I'm hearing you say is it really was kind of like, not denial, but a little bit of just kind of like, I'm just going to put that over there because I can just keep going. But it was really after that last, relationship that you were like, all right, the time is now. And like the time is I'm buckling down now. These are the things I'm going to sacrifice, because for anything to happen, there always needs to be sacrifice, of course.
Yep.
And then again, just making that choice to be able to move forward and, take action. So, but then you still were in your part-time job and now you're full-time launched into your small business. So when you made that choice, what was it for you that was like, okay, like now is the time to do this full-time, and what action steps did you take to make that happen?
So I feel like it all kind of lined up perfectly. Like summer is starting. So my daughter just got out of school. She's not quite able to stay home all day by herself. So I thought, and I really want to make memories with her. And so, it was just, I don't know, I feel like it ended up being perfect timing. So, and that was maybe kind of my excuse that I made in my head, like, well, if I'm going to quit, I should just quit. But the things that I feel like I have been working hard at the last, most recently, is I have a mentorship call every single week with one of the founders and owners of the services that I offer, teeth whitening. And and this is very hard for me. It's a challenge for me because I'm just not normally very good at being purposeful and good at being productive versus just busy or planning my day. I very easily get off track. So I have to be very, I have to work at really hard, you know what I'm trying to say, purposeful about what I'm going to be doing at the end of my day. And like I said, being busy versus being productive. There are times that I look back at the day and I'm like, holy cow, I was swamped. But then I go, but how many things can I actually check off my list? You know what I mean? Which leads me to learning how to give myself like more grace, because I would get mad at myself. And I remember calling you one time because I was like, how do you do all the things? And this stuck with me, as I've learned to just work on one thing at a time. Because you had said to me, you don't have to be the jack of all trades. Because I'm like, okay, because I want to be better about getting up early in the morning, and then I want to eat a healthy breakfast, and then I want to run. But here's the thing, like if I get through half the day and I've like already not done 2 of those things, I feel like a failure. I'm mad at myself. And I just, So work on one thing at a time and celebrate the little things. I have had no dishes in my sink for like 4 days in a row. So I am proud of me.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's like there is time, like there is things where it's like you can have like this cycle, right? Like you're almost like a hamster on a wheel where you're going. So you're doing things. So like it could look like you're taking action. It could actually feel like you're taking action and doing things, but in all reality, what you're actually doing is avoiding.
Oh my gosh, I'm
avoiding the action of what you really need to, right? So like if we need to clean our house, but we are doing these other things, like what we're actually doing is avoiding because we don't want to clean the house. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's always like knowing that difference of like, yeah, it could actually literally feel like you're doing it. It could maybe even look like you're doing, but are you actually doing or taking action in a way that's putting you toward whatever it is that your goals are? So you mentioned that you have a coach. Why not just go through everything on your own? Like, why have a coach? Why check in? What do you feel like that difference is for you?
So it's a good question. And I never thought, I'm like, I can figure this out for myself. I can absolutely do these things on my own. I'll figure it out. I've figured it out before.
Yeah.
But even in that first, and I was like, well, we'll try a call or whatever and see how it goes. But honestly, like even though she's 10 years younger than me, she's already done all the things that I haven't yet. So she knows, what's going to be good for my business, how to do those things, and maybe what to avoid. Like I never even thought of setting up Google or Yelp. And so she was like, this is how you do it. And then my Instagram, she was like, it has to be set up this way and make sure this pops. And then this is where you put your link. And I'm like, oh, and then it just the littlest tips and tricks. She was like, take down your Christmas posts, put them in archive, but we don't need to see them or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Like things that you just don't know, or you don't think, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Well, cause like my main page, she was looking at my main page and she goes, okay, I see food, I see dogs, I see ex-boyfriends, I see Christmas, I see, oh, there's some lash pictures. So she's like, okay, but like, and then, she challenges me. She's like, okay, what's the next like promotion you're going to do? I'm like, oh, good question. She's like, when's the last time you've done an email campaign? I'm like, ooh, never done that. What's your week look like? Is it full? And I'm like, no. So it's, even though I'm my own boss, I keep myself in check, and sometimes that's not very good. So it's somebody that is,
somebody that you are like, is going to ask you the question, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, like if they ask me this question, I don't want the answer to be no, or like, what is my answer? Okay, I'm going through the answers to my question of like, did you do the things that we talked about on our last call? And you're thinking to yourself, like, what am I going to say? No, I was watching Netflix, or no, I was like, I just didn't play. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just feel like
Yeah.
it's a person there that can keep you accountable, even though
Yep.
we're doing what we're doing, because we can do that. We can do that on our own, and we do a
Mhm.
good job, but it's a person to be able to lead and guide and just be able to have that accountability, which is so helpful. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've never done is ran a business, and she would tell me apps and websites to look at for this, and this, for taxes, for setting this up. And I'm like, oh, or, I didn't even think about that. And so it's just so helpful. And I feel like I always wanted a mentor because it sounded cool, but I didn't really know where to find shop for one. No, but when she mentioned it, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like this,
Yeah.
and so I would highly recommend for anybody that's looking to grow in any sort of area in their life to get, a weekly call set up, some type of mentorship for sure.
Do you know what quote I'm thinking about right now?
No,
Find someone that has what you want. If you do what they do, then you'll get what they've got. Oh my gosh, how many times did we have to like say that?
all the time.
Yeah, we're way back in the day. Oh gosh, so often. Those things stick with you though, and it's the truth. Find someone that has it. I know, it's so true. I
Yeah.
love that. So what would be, because I tell people that all the time, like about starting my small business. I think a lot of people, when they see my business now, they think, oh, like, you had this stat, you had, there was a business, you had all these things. And while a business plan and while preparation and all of that is like so important, sometimes you just have to take advantage of the timing that you have in life. And
Mhm.
I think that we both did that. And so often people will say to me, well, how did you start this business? And I think back to when I did my little sticky notes when I was the 40 under 40 business, one of the business leaders. And I lived by these 2 sticky notes that were like, you can do it, and like, get it done. And it was just like, those were my 2 things of like taking action, getting it done, like having a coach. Like I would have died to have a coach and a mentor to be able to be like, oh, don't do that, honey. Like I already tried that and it didn't work. So here's what you want to do instead. And people that go into business, you guys, if you're listening, I'm telling you, find somebody that's going to do that with you, because here's the number one thing it does. It saves you time. Being a single mom, we don't have extra time. We don't have the time to like try this and see if it works, and then try that and see if it works. Listen, we've got children to feed, and it's just us. So if there's somebody out there that we can invest a little bit in ourselves, that can say, this is what's going to work, this is how it's going to work, and share that with us. I just don't know why people don't take advantage of it. Swallow your pride. You don't need to, there is no like, oh, I know it all, because you don't. Nobody does. You don't.
No. No, it's tough. And if somebody can help you shave off,
month,
a few days, a few hours, a year, if it was going to take you 5 and it took you 4, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
What's your what's your biggest or most memorable or most important advice that you would have, because we talked a little bit about just redesigning your life and taking action and taking those steps. And, your journey has been like hills and valleys, and there's just been these constant choices that you've made, things that you've done, action steps that you've taken. But what do you think the biggest thing that has really made a difference for you in your life and in getting you to this moment and having your biggest record month in your own business?
I would say easier said than done, minimizing distractions. But regardless of that, I think that something I have gotten a lot better at, but is still very challenging, is what you say to yourself. I mean, it matters.
Your mindset.
Yeah, your mindset. And if you truly believe something enough, it will come true, whether it's, good or bad. So you got to be careful, what you what you think and what you say to yourself. And us as parents or single parents, we have to watch that too, because we have children that are watching us. And I think, honestly, I know that this is like the silliest thing, but I'm going to say it, is when I realized that thoughts are things, or whenever you believe something so hard that it's true. I know this is silly. Watch how much I believe in this. Every time I pick the slowest line at the grocery store. Listen. I believe it so much that it happens every time. Now imagine if I can be that passionate about or believe in something that is with my business. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Always the slowest line.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes.
So I know, like I said, it's silly, but
it's the little thing too. It doesn't have to be. It's not like, oh, go to this like grand, amazing, like all these grand steps to like to shift your mindset. It all starts with these tiny and little things.
You know what? And
these things are the biggest things. With
all of my being, I'm not kidding you, somehow everything always works out for me. And I'm just saying, like, the littlest things, like, and it could be the silliest things. And that's why I know that the big things, it'll all work out for me. Because, okay, for example, last night I was, you know what? I didn't stay on track with my schedule. I took a couple last minute clients, which took up different space that made me push back other things and I was announcing yesterday a new service that I'm offering, and I wanted to do it around noon. I didn't do it last night until like 6:30 or 7 or something like that. And so I'm upset with myself. But my daughter, Hayden, had a softball game last night, and I'm like, I have so much to do. The rain canceled her game. Not that I don't want to go to her game, but I was able to get, it all worked out for me. I did get it done at noon, but I'm just saying, like, I will be financially, independent, and, and I'm not saying like some rich bitch, but I will be able to live without having to think about money as often as I have in past years, because it's all, so I mean, I know it's gonna work out for me.
Leave us with your favorite affirmation. You've done a lot of mindset work. Leave us with your favorite thing that you have just ingrained in your heart and in your brain.
Honestly, the one thing that always does stick in my head when I know I have a lot to do, or I'm about to like try and like get myself going or to kill it, is the Alicia Keys song, "This Girl Is on Fire." Just comes into my head. I know, it's just, this girl's on fire. Like, I
say it, you believe it, it happens. Well, you are on fire. You had your record sales month, so you are. We should be singing, "This girl is on fire." All right, you all. So right, there's my voice. If you needed to hear it, there it is.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we got to talk about this. I'm going to share all of your social media channels, but you can find Kari at Sugar and Spice Beauty Room. Tell us really quick before we end some services that you offer, and I guess where we can find you.
So I'm in Granville, specifically Granville, and I have always specialized in full body waxing. So anywhere that on your body that has hair that you don't want there anymore, I will remove it. I'll take care of it.
Anywhere.
Eyelash lift and tints, brow lamination, teeth whitening, and coming this next week is spray tan.
I don't know why you're not here, y'all. You better get over there. You better get over there. The calendar is full and this girl's on fire. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is Life Redesigned. I'm so glad that you got to join us today, Kari. Signing off, and we will see you next time.